Hi and welcome everyone to our 6th episode of The Little Insight. My name is still Tobi, and this week we are going to have a look at the question, what are the 6 senses and how can I integrate them as a basis for my mindfulness training? Fantastic question. Let's have a look at it right after the intro. The Buddha was talking quite extensively about the 6 sense media actually. There's various discourses where he's talking about that same topic. Now I found one verse where he actually encourages us to look at and to know the 6 sense media and whatever they condition, and the verse is as follows. The 6 internal media should be known. The 6 external media should be known. The 6 classes of consciousness should be known. The 6 classes of contact should be known. The 6 classes of feeling should be known. The 6 classes of craving should be known. So the Buddha encourages us to actually know these kind of 6 groups here. And he says knowing, which means actually to mindfully observe something. So we're not here to intellectually understand this kind of topic and then be able to give lectures about it or to parrot some information. It is really about directly observing it in this present moment. So in all these kind of 6 groups, all of them can be observed within the present moment, and one is conditioning the other. Now the first 3 groups actually belong together. The first 3 groups, or you could even say the first 4 groups actually belong together. Now the first, he refers to the 6 internal sense media, which are the sense organs. So you have your ears, you have your eyes, you have the nose, you have the tongue, you have the tactile sense all over the body, and you have your intellect. And the second group are the external sense media. So these are the corresponding objects of each one of those 6 senses. Now the corresponding object for your eyes would be colors and shape, for example. Corresponding object for your intellect would be ideas, thoughts, imagination, etc. So you see that each sense organ needs its corresponding object to function properly. But that's not it. Actually, you need a third factor to come into play, which is a sense consciousness. So you have these 6 types of sense consciousness. Consciousness at your eyes, consciousness at your ears, consciousness at your nose, etc. Now basically this means that it's not just your senses with their object, otherwise a corpse could see, right? But there has to be consciousness also as well. If there is no consciousness, then it's just an eye and there are colors and shapes all around it, but seeing is not happening. So you need the consciousness to be in place. That's the third group. The fourth group refers to the 6 types of contact. Now when the first 3 come together, your sense organ, the corresponding sense object, and the corresponding sense consciousness, when all 3 come together, we call that contact. So you have 6 types of contact: eye contact, ear contact, nose contact, and so forth. You could also actually say, instead of saying eye contact, you can also just say seeing, really. And instead of saying ear contact, you can say hearing, right? I'm hearing something, I'm seeing something, and so forth. So that would be contact actually. Now the 5th group is number 5 already. The 5th group is the 6 types of feeling. So obviously, after there is contact, feeling comes into play. Feeling is conditioned by contact. If there is no contact, there is also no feeling. But once there is contact, once you're seeing something, then there is a feeling that arises. So what you see is then perceived as either pleasant, unpleasant, or neutral. These are the 3 types of feelings. So, and again, these feelings arise with each one of those senses. You might have a thought. So thinking arises at in the mind, and there is this contact is already there. You're consciously thinking about something, and then it follows that you feel something about what you think. You might feel some fear about the future, some anxiety coming after you had a future thought. So the thinking process in itself is perceived or experienced as unpleasant. It assumes this kind of taste. That's what feeling really means. Feeling means that your sense experience, it gets this kind of taste, either pleasant, unpleasant, or neither pleasant nor unpleasant, or in other words, neutral. So you have these three types of feelings. And the final group, the sixth group, is the group of craving. Now, once contact has arisen, it conditions feeling. Once feeling has arisen, it conditions craving. So let's say you're having a very positive kind of feeling upon seeing a rose flower. Now, when you see that rose and you feel happy, you feel good, it's a positive kind of sensation that arises, then you want more of it, right? So this is the type of craving that arises. You want more of it, you want to increase it if it is a pleasant feeling. If it is an unpleasant feeling, guess what? Of course, you want to kind of get rid of it. And if it is a neutral feeling, then usually we have no mindfulness of it at all, because it just doesn't stimulate us enough to actually pay attention. Now you might actually wonder, why should I know them? Why should I sit down and actually observe that there is contact? So right now I hear something, I hear a sound, hearing. It's rather pleasant. Maybe you have a pleasant kind of feeling arising. And then you observe that craving arises. Craving, I want more. There's wanting more, like this. You observe it directly as these kind of things are happening in your own mind. Now, as you're sitting there and observe, you might be wondering, why would I sit down or walk around or stand somewhere and actually observe the six senses at play? Now, the answer to that is, again, surprisingly simple. Because when you're observing something, you start to comprehend it. You start to comprehend how it functions, how it works. And as all the teachings that the Buddha has given can be put in context with the Four Noble Truths, that means suffering, the origin of suffering, the end of suffering, and the path leading to the end of suffering, you can do the same here. So the context of observing your six senses at play is because you want to understand how suffering can arise. So you basically watch, how could I just sit around and suffer? How do I do it? What's the mechanic of suffering, right? You want to see it live, right there in front of you, as suffering arises and as suffering passes. If you see that repeatedly, then the result eventually will be that you can detach from suffering. You can relax, even though there is some sort of problematic event in your life. You can detach from it and relax. You can be at peace, even though the circumstances around you might not necessarily be peaceful, but within you're still totally at peace and relaxed. So that's why we're actually learning to train our mindfulness to be with these six senses at play. So now we come to the practice part. Now you might be wondering, how do I put this kind of mindfulness of the six senses into practice? And I would like to lead you through a very little, small, guided meditation. Now at first, gently close your eyes. And become aware of your body. Just feel your body as it is sitting there. Wherever you are right now, just become aware of your body for a little while. Just feeling the body as it is there. Feeling the hands, the feet, the way it sits, the way your posture is right now. Just becoming aware of those things. Breathing in, feeling the body. Breathing out, feeling the body. Now bring your attention to the sounds that are all around you. Notice the birds, the air condition if you're sitting in the room, sound of my voice. Just gently being aware of the sounds all around you. You're consciously just listening, just hearing, perceiving all the sounds. Now perceive your hearing as just hearing. See, there are these moments when you are not attaching any form of monologue or commentary or story to your thoughts, but you are just receiving sounds, just hearing. Just notice also some sounds, they result in a pleasant sensation, others in a neutral sensation, and yet others in an unpleasant sensation. Observe that too. Notice that if there is a pleasant sensation, there is a tendency to increase, to stay with this, to concentrate on it. Tendency to want more. If the sensation that comes with sound, with hearing, is rather unpleasant, then there's the opposite. There's resistance that arises. You can be mindful of that too. Simply knowing that there is resistance. Resistance is like this. Now we do the same with the physical sensations, feeling the body. Notice the feelings as they arise as just feelings, not attaching any story to them, not commenting on them, just feeling. See how all by themselves feelings are conditioning a pleasant sensation or an unpleasant sensation. And notice how with a pleasant sensation comes the wish to increase, craving for it to stay. With an unpleasant sensation, there comes the craving for it to go away. But you're simply noticing this mindfully, just observing it. Now you will notice that there are thoughts too. Just thoughts arising, images, just by themselves. There's thinking, imagining, just continuously arising and passing. As you notice some of the thoughts, they are conditioning pleasant sensation. Some of them are conditioning unpleasant sensations. And corresponding with that, you're either trying to get rid of them, resisting them, pushing against them, or you try to get more of these kind of thoughts, trying to increase the sensation, the feeling. So we are not really here to do anything about this, but we are here to know this process as it unfolds. Simply knowing feelings as they unfold, sounds, thoughts and images. Also observing how we habitually react with craving towards those experiences. Now this completes the practice. You can gently open your eyes if you like and come back into the awareness of the room where you are, noticing that the process, however, even though you're now aware of something else, like seeing or maybe feeling again and so forth, it's the same principle that is at play at all times in our lives. There's a continuous play of senses, which are conditioning feelings, which then in turn conditions craving. If you, however, bring in mindful knowing or clear understanding, not intellectually, clearly actually looking, seeing what goes on as it goes on, without any form of preference or choosing something to focus upon, you're simply opening up to the way you experience the world naturally, you begin to comprehend that suffering arises by attaching to our experiences, by identifying with our experiences, etc. And so suffering arises quite naturally out of this kind of process. But if you start to see this clearly and know it clearly as it is, then you have a very good chance to actually detach and relax instead of suffering unnecessarily through life. So we are coming to the end of this little insight, and this week it might have been a bit more, seemingly a bit more complex. However, it's just about the play of your senses and really how you habitually respond to the play of your senses if there is no mindfulness, and to bring in more mindfulness into how you're experiencing this world, how you are creating suffering by resisting and fighting it and so forth. This is something very fun to actually observe and watch, and it should actually never be really serious. Meditation is not a serious thing in the sense that you are kind of you have to put on your serious face and then you have to sit down in a very serious way and then you do your meditation in a very serious way. It's not like that. It's not a stuck-up experience like that. It is more, I'd like to encourage you to have fun with this, to really play with this, to observe your senses more and more, to become more and more awake to yourself and learn to actually relax where you previously might have suffered and become tense as a response to life. Now, as always, these kind of episodes, the little insight, comes from your questions and it comes from your input. So don't hesitate and put your questions down below in the comments if you like, or write me an email or contact me on Facebook, wherever you like, and I try to answer to you as fast as possible and help you on your path with meditation as good as I can. And if you want to see more of these kind of little insights, then please subscribe. Subscribe button is right here, so you can just click on that and subscribe to our channel to receive every week the updates every Wednesday. Okay, so I'm looking forward to see you next Wednesday with the next episode, and hope you have a great week. Bye-bye.